An Evening at the Movies is a proud member of the I Did Not Make These Rankings podcast network. Other shows in the network include Mass Debaters, The Sip List, Crushgasm, Love is Black, Men Are the Prize, Crime Rewind, and Literature Reapers. You can find out all about our shows and more at idnmtrpodcastnetwork.com. Happy listening. You are now entering the world of a movie review. A world full of drama, joy, ridicule, movie spoilers, unpopular opinions, and adult humor for as far as the eye can see. Welcome to An Evening at the Movies.
Greetings, everybody. Welcome back to your favorite movie review podcast. This is An Evening at the Movies. I am Kasey, and as you all know, this is the podcast where we eat the stale popcorn, drink the watered down sodas, and discuss all of our favorite movies and why we love them. But mysterious spoiler alert, we may not be sharing a whole lot of love this episode. But before we can get into that, we have to have the discussion. Before we can do that, I have to introduce everybody who is here. So, joining us for a brief minute as everybody's favorite co-host, wearing a dirty T-shirt,
Excuse
wearing
me.
wearing Oklahoma on my podcast.
You're in the Pacific Northwest. What the fuck do you care? At least my conference.
I really don't care.
Sorry, I had to.
Yeah. No, you're fine. But we also have a couple of brand new guests that we are welcoming on the show for the first time. We have Lisa and Jen from what I had heard was. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, when I saw the post that you guys were I was like, hey, I know them. I've recorded with them a few times. And Jen's been on the SIP list a couple of times. I have to ask, what happened to Tete Fromage?
It's back.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
It's back this new season.
Nice. I was missing that. You'll have to talk about it later. But yeah, I just popped in to say hello and good to see you guys.
Yeah, are you running away so quickly?
I'll stay for a few more minutes. I can't review this movie. I don't remember it enough.
just
I
wing
it. Before Kasey and I attempt to watch a movie that he attempted to watch last night and fell asleep like 3 times.
Should we tell them about our bonus episodes of Tete Fromage, Jen?
Oh, whenever you guys are ready.
You guys are welcome to talk about all of whatever you want to talk about your show, because that's why, well, one of the reasons why we're here is to, help get your guys' show out there for potential new listeners.
So we brought back our bonus episodes featuring Beverly and Fran, who are our cheese-loving alter egos, and those bonus episodes are available every Wednesday morning at 5 a.m. Eastern. And this season, we're focusing on the wild world of celebrity-themed charcuterie boards.
Nice. Tete Fromage is just chef's kiss. So fun. Glad you guys are bringing it back.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised a little bit about how big of a following it has.
Well, because it's short, but it's funny, and it's just, God damn it, it's fun to listen to, and it's like, it doesn't really require, I don't mean this in a bad way, it doesn't require you to pay a lot of attention.
It requires zero brain power, yeah.
Yes, and cheese.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
Zero brain power, kind of like Amanda and I on this show.
Or me when I've had an edible.
We wanted it to sound like NPR.
Or me trying to watch a movie last night and probably tonight that I have mixed feelings about.
If you fall asleep again, I'm done trying to get you to watch this movie. Barbie.
Oh, really?
So yeah.
Is that all it takes? Wow. No, I'm kidding.
Jen, you saw Barbie, you
I'm
did not
teasing
like
and
it,
you know
right?
it.
So I did see Barbie and I did not like it, but I was really overstimulated in the theater. It was so loud that I think that I just kind of shut down and it wouldn't have mattered what it was I was watching.
Well, try it again in the comfort of your own home.
I'll watch it again at home.
I will save my opinion because technically,
You did-
we're doing Barbie as part of the movies that you should see at least once in your lifetime series
Mm.
that we're starting in March. So
I'll be my choice.
I have thoughts. Amanda knows because we briefly discussed it last night before. I was like, dude, I can't even keep my eyes open. But I don't think it's as bad as I came into it thinking it was. So we'll leave it at that. Everybody can tune in March when it's Barbie's turn to get love or get crucified
Party.
by me.
Come on, Barbie, let's go party. That is the most disappointing part about the movie is that song's not in it until the credits.
Oh,
Missed
I'm tell-
opportunity
I'm
not getting Aqua on board.
I mean, I literally within like the first 3 minutes last night asked Amanda if I was going to get Aqua before at some point in this movie. She's like, "Yeah." In the credits, I'm like, I
It's a
so
cool
could leave right now.
It's a really cool remix, I will say. But anyway.
So
I have not seen it.
yay.
But you're not making it
Well, now
easy
you know
for
you
me to
don't get
want
to
to
hear.
see it either.
Why? Just because Jim was overstimulated. You can't let that factor in.
I mean, we're pretty similar, except for the particular movie we're going to do on this podcast today, but I'm probably going to agree with her.
To be fair, I have a sensory processing disorder, so it's not, I mean, like, I was really overwhelmed by the whole thing. I don't go to movies. I don't go to the theater really because of that.
Yeah, it can be a lot. I mean, and I'll just say it's not for everybody. Not every movie is for everybody, but it is a really important movie in my opinion, and that's why I wanted us to cover it. So we'll do that in March, and yeah, good times.
Yay! I'm excited. Can you see it on my face? Jack.
He
That's my
heard his
homie.
name. Yeah, he's a good boy. Okay, I gotta go, but it was really good to see you girls. And next time, let me know when you're having new. Well, never mind. Kasey has new guests, and I can't keep up because he's like it's like a
I'm
podcast
posting shit
podcast.
all the time in the group.
But yeah, we'll have to do another episode with a movie with the four of us if you guys have fun today. And yeah, we'll schedule something for the sip list too. So
Sounds
great
good.
day.
Sounds
Uh-huh.
good.
Bye.
If they have fun today.
Well, I don't want to assume. I don't want to be that full of us. You never know. We're not for everybody either.
We know
True.
the feeling.
Very true.
Yeah, I am not everyone's. That's all right. All right. Bye, guys. Have a
You're
good show.
everybody's glass of wine, though.
Yes.
Hmm.
Bye.
Peace and hair grease, co-host. All right. Now that we got all the refamiliarizations out of the way, so would you guys like to, before we get into it, really let everybody know about what your podcast is all about? Since we really didn't get into it, other than the Wednesday bonus episode.
Tete fromage.
So, this was originally Jen's podcast, which I joined recently. I think it was September. She had two previous co-hosts, one of whom was her sister, and I did a podcast previously for 2 years, which I'm no longer a part of and does not exist anymore. And we both love podcasting and we wanted to start again. and she already had an established podcast, which was what I had heard was. So we decided to just kind of pick up where she left off, but it's a little bit different than it was. Um, and every new episode you can hear Monday mornings, 5 a.m. Eastern on all major platforms. And this season is about celebrity death conspiracies and who might really still be alive and walking among us.
Who might be an alien?
Hashtag Tupac.
Hey!
See?
I was editing the Tupac episode actually
Mhm.
right before I got here.
Yep. Yeah, he
I
might
mean,
make a surprise visit in the episode.
I had no knowledge of that. I was just being a smartass, but at the same time, it's almost kind of like how can you do a celebrity conspiracy, death conspiracy thing and not bring up the whole is Tupac alive or dead question?
Oh, absolutely. For sure.
So
It, it's all about people who just don't want these people to really be dead, you know. I mean, not everyone has conspiracies where they might still be alive, but we focused on some of them. Um, you know, but it's all a part of people loving these celebrities and musicians so much that they can't accept the fact that they're gone.
I mean, spoiler alert in case anybody didn't listen to Amanda and I yesterday live. She and I both share a very deep rooted love for a celebrity that passed away late last year that we focused our attention on the SIP list, named Matthew Perry, that
Oh,
really hit both of us in the feels. But at the same time, there isn't really a whole, like you said, there's not everybody has a whole lot of conspiracy linked to theirs, and there wasn't really a whole lot linked to his either. Just the fact that people talking shit about whether or not he was off the wagon and back on drugs and
mhm.
all of that. So it was a fun
Yeah, the
episode. I
manner
highly
in which he
recommend
died.
listening to it.
Mhm.
Yeah. So with all of that said, we are here for a purpose today. And we're going to be discussing a movie called Lost in Translation. So before we get into all of that, though, just in case there are people out there that love all the information, Lost in Translation released on September 12th, 2003. I can't believe this movie is 20 plus years old. It doesn't feel like it, but at the same time, knowing who's in the movie and how they look now compared to back then, it makes a little bit more sense. Was directed by Sofia Coppola, was released by Focus Features, had a $4 million budget, and against mine and Jen's opinion, had a $118.7 million box office.
Wow.
So go figure.
It's wild.
On a $4 million budget, that's a hell of a freaking profit, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And
And
I
this
mean,
was an
I've seen
Oscar-winning
bigger.
movie, right?
Yes, Sophia won for best screenplay. Well, adapted screenplay. No, best original screenplay. I didn't have it. I looked it up in my notes. I just didn't write it down. Um, but just in case neither of the two of you decided to pop up with information, we also like to give our guests a chance to make a little bit of a wild assumption as to what they think the Rotten Tomato score for the movie is. So I have the number for that written down on my notes. So would either of the two of you like to guess what you think the score for the movie is?
Is how bad it is?
How bad? How good?
So low
What's the
scale.
However
scale
you
for
want to
Rotten
look at
Tomatoes?
it. 0% is horrible. 100% is certified fresh, which I'm guessing means the greatest
12%.
movie of all time.
95%.
Wow, Lisa nailed it. It is
I
95%.
did? Whoa.
Yeah, based on 232 critic reviews, Lost in Translation has a 95% score on Rotten Tomato. And if you are listening and haven't seen the movie, and based on the words that are coming out of our mouth, would like to go and watch the movie, it's not available streaming just anywhere. You have to do what Jen and I did and rent the movie to experience the wonderment that is Lost in Translation. So, with all of that said, um, discussion question number one. So we'll get into it as we probably more information as we answer the questions. But being a middle-aged celebrity actor type person, um, what do you guys feel Bob has to be bummed about?
Huh. Well, he's basically a has-been at this point, except in Japan, um, which they tend to be behind in popularity of celebrities. They still love Elvis, right? Um, so
Mhm.
he is still popular in that country, um, but he is just I think bored with it, and he's traveling and he's away from his family, and I think he's just sick of everything. He doesn't, he knows that that's his livelihood, is still being somewhat famous, um and doing whiskey commercials and guesting on shows and this and that, just to still make a living for his family. But I think he's bored with just, life in general and just being himself.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much a safe assumption. Jen, did you have an idea?
No, I thought he had not much to complain about, that he couldn't fix himself.
I think
Well,
the way I felt about it coming in was, I think he I mean, he's still fortunate enough to be able to land jobs where he's pulling in a $2 million paycheck. I think is what he's getting for this endorsement of the whiskey. But yet,
by the way,
I
Centauri whiskey's
see
real.
it is. I did not know that.
Yes. Hmm.
I evidently am not as much of a drinker as I thought I was. But I digress. Um, but again, like I see where Lisa's coming from though too, because it's like, yeah, Japan can be a little bit behind in the pop culture references and adoration that, you know, they're not necessarily on the same level as we are here in the States. And I can also, at the same time, well, I'll save the other part of that for one of the next questions because it is going to come up as well. Matter of fact, it actually does come up in the very next question. How does the location enhance or deter from the movie, do you feel, being in Japan?
I think it makes the movie beautiful, which is, I think, part of the allure of it. It's very well shot, and the scenery and all. It's just it's what, to me, some of the feeling I get from the movie is the scenes and where they're shot, and it's just it's a very slow moving movie, and it's like I really like when she's at the uh I don't know what you call it, like where the monks are, and it's very quiet, and she's walking across the water, and she puts the note on the tree. It's
Mhm.
a really beautiful movie, I think, the way that it's shot and where it's shot.
Jen, did you have an opinion on the isolation aspect of the movie?
I'm not super helpful on this movie.
Well,
So
I
it's
mean,
it's the setting is Tokyo, and it in some of the scenes it has like a huge nightlife, and
It's
very uh, you know
it's pretty, but I felt like it was trying too hard.
yeah.
I can see that. Um, I feel like it definitely adds to the movie, though. At the same time, um, especially if you're not fluent in Japanese culture or the language, being submerged in that type of a foreign atmosphere can be very overwhelming and feel like you're, you know, in a soundproof room with everybody in the world around you and not being able to fully take in everything that's going on. I mean, you can see obviously pictures and whatnot around you, but if you don't understand the language, you don't understand what people are saying. Um, Having nobody there with you,
But
it definitely complicates things.
they had access to translators, so if they wanted to communicate, they could. They
True.
had that option.
Well, at least Bob did,
I can
because
totally.
yeah. Well, I think that neither
Yeah.
one of them were strangers to Tokyo. They had been there before. They had well, at least Charlotte had friends there, but Bob obviously had been there before, to do other promotions. But they seem very underwhelmed with it, because and where they are, and the beauty of it, and the culture and everything, because they've probably been there many times, and it's just not,
Mhm.
it's not magical anymore. It's like, how many times can you go to New York City without where before it loses its luster because you've been there? Um, so
I mean, I get it because I live in the Pacific Northwest and I'm right down the road from Seattle, and I've heard people, "Oh, Seattle this, Seattle that, X, Y, and Z." And it's like, it's freaking Seattle. It's not that big of a deal. But
yeah, because you're
when you
used
see
to
it
it.
every
You've been
day,
you Yeah.
yeah. So let's see if we can arise an opinion out of Jen with this one. Do you feel like this is a comedy or a love story, or what kind of movie do you feel like? What genre do you feel like this movie would probably fit best in?
Drama.
Yeah. Dramedy?
Yeah,
Like both, you think?
I
I
I
laughed
think
a
there's
couple
moments
times.
of I think there's moments. Yeah, I think there's moments in the movie where it has its moments. Obviously, you can't have a movie with Bill Murray in it without there being some kind of haha chuckles. But it definitely felt like a different kind of Bill Murray funny that he was delivering compared to other stuff that people might be more familiar with, like Ghostbusters or Groundhog's Day or What About Bob or things of that nature, where it's a little bit more, you know, right in your face. This time around, it's a little bit more, you know, refined, casual, subtle, whatever the case may be. Just my opinion.
That might be part of the reason why I love this movie so much because I'm a big Bill Murray fan, and this is so different from what he normally does, um, that it 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 just I think he just did an excellent job. I just really love him in this movie so much, and it's just so different from anything I've ever seen him do. But he still is mildly funny in this in a dry kind of way, and in scenes that weren't at necessarily meant to be yuck funny, but it's still funny because it's Bill Murray and it's I like the Suntory whiskey filming and for the commercial, and when he's in the tiny shower and and the
Yeah.
prostitute in the hotel room.
I never really thought about it before, but um, yeah, that him being in the shower and trying to, raise the shower head up as far as it would go so he could properly shower, and then only being able to raise it so it's like right here, and he still got to, you know, contort himself down into a way that, I can wash everything from like my chin down, but I still haven't washed my face. I haven't washed my hair. It's part of the whole idea of, I guess, not being a part of the Japanese stereotype with Japanese people being supposedly incredibly short. They don't have to have, you know, shower heads that, rain down from all the way up here.
Well,
Not that
see,
we're
that would be a
condoning
perfect
stereotypes
shower
on
for
these
me.
movies at all. Not me.
I'm
I'm
5'1", so
almost six
that would
foot
be
tall.
perfect for me. Oh,
Well,
I'd
aren't you
fit right.
lucky? Well, uh, so um, I've only got one more discussion question before we can move on to giving everybody our thoughts and reviews of the movie. But your guys' idea of what do you think Bob whispers to Charlotte at the end of the movie?
So there's a lot of YouTube videos that try to listen in on what he actually said to her. And there's been so many times when it's been speculated that he said this or he said that. And I think even Bill Murray himself has said certain things about what he may have said, but he's not serious. And Sofia uh Coppola, she won't even say, I didn't I and some people say she doesn't even
Mhm.
know what he said to her. That only I'm sorry, only the actors know what they said, what they said, or what Bill said to
Mhm.
Charlotte. So um well, Scarlett Johansson, what Bill Murray said to Scarlett Johansson, what Bob said to Charlotte in the end. It's widely speculated that they both know, of course, they know because they were there, but they won't divulge it. And it's because it drives people crazy wanting to know. But if you go on YouTube, you can listen to um the sound bite, and they try to, bring the sound up to hear what he said, and then there's different versions of what they think he might have said.
I like the fact that we don't know because I think it adds to the mystery of, we've been here for watching this story unfold for what, an hour, just over an hour and a half.
Mhm.
And, it's all coming together in this moment with a nice, I guess, pretty pink bow wrapped on it. But yet we don't specifically know. And the fact that Scarlett Johansson hasn't said what Bill Murray said. Bill Murray, obviously, like you said, hasn't ever said what he said. I would prefer not to have, that information come out and just leave it up to us as the watchers to know, speculate because, Lisa can have her opinion, Jen can have her opinion, I can have my opinion, and it doesn't necessarily have to be, it can be three completely different opinions at the same time, but because we don't know and nobody confirms or denies it, our opinion technically in a way is right. It's just what we feel is said in that moment.
One of the things I really like about this movie as well is that obviously there's some sort of small romance going on between them, but it never materializes, and she's quite a bit younger than him, which really doesn't matter, but he's a married woman and I'm sorry, he's a married man and she's a married woman. There's that, although he does cheat on his wife with the lounge singer, but she gets very upset about that, because there's kind of like a low-key romance going on between them. They're obviously becoming close friends. But I do like the fact that they never really got together in the movie. There is one scene where they're laying down and they're holding and I think they hold hands or something, or she drapes, I don't know, lays on him, I don't remember. But that's the extent of it. There was a small romance, maybe.
But that's because she that's because she caught him with the lounge singer. If that hadn't happened, I think they would have hooked up. Yeah. She just because she was so hurt by that.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think
I mean,
that's good. I think it's good that she was like, never mind, because then it made her feel less special, I think, you know.
I guess that bears witness to another potential question, though. Obviously, these two are in a foreign land, spending time together and whatnot. Are they horrible people for, I guess, for lack of a better term, venturing outside of their marriages to find companionship?
Well, it's not great. Otherwise, they could be open with their spouses about what they're doing.
Well, I'm going to say this. I'm going to say
A valid
Bob
point.
probably has less of a reason than she does, because I think it's kind of loosely said that maybe Charlotte's husband was maybe doing something behind her back with the other actress, or something was not right. But with Bob, the only thing his wife was doing wrong was being in another country taking care of their children, and he was just bored and lonely, and going through some sort of midlife crisis and just not really into his marriage anymore. Now, Charlotte was really like kind of being like pushed aside by her husband, like being made to feel very unimportant, and just, but it was kind of like loosely insinuated that her husband might have been doing something behind her back.
Right, but suspecting your husband of stepping out is not proof of your husband stepping out,
True.
and is not justification to then step out.
True.
So there definitely is a definite level of ambiguity between, are they right for doing what they're doing or are they wrong? I felt like, especially going through the movie, especially in the early stages, that Charlotte's husband was kind of sort of an ass, but at the
Mm.
same time, I was kind of having a biased opinion because if I'm married to Scarlett Johansson, and by the way, fuck Colin Jost, I'm very jealous of him. But if I was married to his wife, I don't know if I could treat her. I mean, it's all, you know, questionable, hypothetical in the back of your mind, but I don't know if I could treat her the same way that because he felt like we were saying, or Lisa was saying that she's kind of being pushed to the back burner, and not because of anything that she did specifically, but or maybe there is. I didn't pick up on it, but it felt like she was very needlessly being pushed off, and he was living his I'm an important celebrity photographer lifestyle. He was going out and spending time with Anna Faris's character. What was her name? Kelly. And she was left at home in a foreign country to, twiddle her thumbs and,
You would assume if they're
whatever.
married, this is not the first time this has happened, and she would be aware of what his schedule's like and how he is around people. So this
True.
shouldn't be a shock to her. I mean, you take the time to meet somebody, then you date them, you're married to them.
And she
Yeah.
seems to be okay with it. I mean, like, well, loosely say she's okay with it. She's used to it. You could tell she's used to it. She just knows. She's not giving him a hard time. She's accepting it. She's saying, okay, but she's also on the back burner living her life, trying to make the best of it, being in a foreign land. And I mean, although we find out that she does have friends there, and that's because she's been there many times before, um, and she does go out and have a good time. But it's all the entire movie. She spends no time with her husband whatsoever, not at all. And I don't think if it's of any fault of hers. He's just never around.
Yeah. Oh, as far as like percentages go of how much time he's on screen in the movie, he's barely in like what 5% of the movie.
Hmm. And that's
So,
Gianni Ribisi, right? Is that who that is?
yeah. I mean, it's not a it's a very incredibly small cast, but there's some very recognizable names that play important parts in the movie, whether it's Bill Murray, Scarlett Johansson, Giovanni Ribisi, and Anna Faris. All names that I can almost imagine all three of us would recognize.
Right.
Is it is it
I
just
mean,
me, or does it kind
eh,
of feel like this wouldn't be a movie that would have such big names in it, though, right? I mean, like, if it didn't, it probably would have been like an indie film. I mean, and I love this movie, and this is me saying that, but like, if it had not had these big names, would it have done as well? No, they would have been like filming it at, what is it, Cannes, or is that how you pronounce it? As an indie film,
yeah,
and right?
yeah. I mean, I could see that. Um, I mean, even at the time, this is what 2003, filmed in 2002. It's very early in ScarJo's career, so I don't even necessarily think she's got as much of a name at this point as Bill Murray is obviously the biggest name in the whole entire movie. Um,
Mhm.
but I would think even Giovanni Ribisi is probably the second most known person in the whole movie, just because of the fact that he's had at this point a 20 plus year career all the way back to when he was a child TV star.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, I can see where you're going. I mean, if the star power wasn't where it's at, I don't necessarily think that this probably would have been a very much an indie movie, which isn't necessarily
Mhm.
saying a bad thing. I've seen some very great indie movies that I would put on a list of some of my most favorite movies of all time. But
Oh, yeah, me too,
you know,
definitely.
so I think yeah, I've got all of my discussion questions out of the way. Would we like to rip off the band-aid and each of us have a chance to let the listeners know what we ultimately thought of the movie and then rate the movie out of 5?
I thought it was slow and boring, and I give it a 1.5.
So you know my feelings. I give it a 5. I just love it. It's just I for whatever reason I can watch it unlimited amount of times, and I'm actually really mad that it's not available for free. Because I would be watching it probably daily. I don't know exactly what it is. It just gives me a certain feeling, and I just really, really love it. I I don't I just do. It's so mild and but I love it. There's like literally no excitement in it. It's not super funny. It's a little bit romantic, but it's as dry as it as dry can be. But I just love it.
So I fall right in the middle of both of you on this one, where um, I can see aspects of creativity and um, greatness. I mean, when your dad is the great Francis Ford Coppola, having any amount of creative talent trickle down to you genetically is a blessing in disguise. Like Lisa said, though, I mean, there isn't. I don't want to say basic and have it come across as being a bad thing, because in some people's opinion, it could be a good thing. It could also be a bad thing. But this is a very basic movie. There's no car chases. There's no explosions. There's no death-defying action. That you get from all these other you know Marvel movies or horror movies or whatever the can. I mean, there's definitely a certain element of to the formula of what Hollywood thinks attracts an audience, and this movie really doesn't have a whole lot of that. At the same time, it has pieces of you know humor sprinkled throughout the movie. It's got pieces of a love story sprinkled throughout the movie, and through the creative processes of the actors and Sofia Coppola, all of that comes together and creates an ultimate picture that I don't necessarily think is a horrible picture, but at the same time, I don't know if I'm necessarily willing to go all the way to 5 for it. So I will go 3.5 out of 5, which that's not a bad rating. It's a good movie, and I probably would watch the movie again. As a matter of fact, after having our little discussion, I may this weekend go back and watch it again just to see if my opinions may or may not have changed after sitting down and having this discussion. So,
I do
um,
think it's one of those movies that you have to watch more than once, for sure. Because there's things you miss and things you catch again when you watch it a second, third, fourth time.
Maybe that's what I need
I,
to do.
I,
Watch it over and over again.
at home, not in the movie theater where you're overly stimulated.
Right?
So, um, before I get into the wrap up of the show, um, I would like to extend a personalized invitation because we did a Lisa favorite movie, and you know I would like to flip the coin over and allow, well, not necessarily allow, that seems kind of rude, but I would like to offer Jen the opportunity now to pick the movie that Lisa and I have to sit down and watch, and we can come back together. And next time around, have Amanda on for more than, what, 5-10 minutes, and
There
Amanda
we
can
go.
join us as well. So that way, it's not all Lisa got her choice, and we
Now
kind
I'm
of
gonna
got
beat
left
her
out in the
up
cold.
next time I
Which-
I
see
might
her.
be in trouble here. I'm just saying, I might be in trouble.
You
I'm
already
actually kind of
know.
curious to know.
I'm scared.
Oh, oh, really? I'm kind of curious to know what Lisa's thinking or what Jen's thinking.
What movie I would go for? It would be
Yes.
Bloodsport.
God.
I'm down.
Oh man.
I 100% all in for that. Let's book it. Set this shit in
I
stone.
totally deserve
Oh,
this.
This is my favorite movie,
I,
so
I feel like um, we'll get Amanda back for that episode as well. And I feel like the panel may be 50-50 split on this one because I'm not 100% sure how much of a fan of Van Damme Amanda is. But the funny part about Amanda, though, is once, if she's not directly into something, she will have some adult beverages, maybe some adult candies that may or may not have
Mhm.
enhancements in them. And that makes it that much more fun because she'll start giggling and not be able to shut her pie hole.
perfect.
But we love it. But we love it when she goes down the road like that because we've had some. Um, I mean, she. We have another pretty regular guest that comes on from time to time, and he and I are discussing the various aspects of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise. And Amanda wasn't a part of the first episode, which was the original movie, but she came into the sequel and she had some wine and some adult candy, and she couldn't stop laughing the whole time we discussed the movie, as bad as the movie was. So I love it when she gets into that aspect of, you know, hilarity and she's that much entertained by something. So, um, but as always, um, I have to thank the listeners each and every week for being here. You guys are incredibly amazing, and you guys are the reason why an evening at the movies, by the time this episode airs, will be officially 3 years old. We will be rapidly approaching 210 plus episodes as
Happy
well.
birthday.
Nice.
Yay! I'm excited. I did not think the show was even going to make it 6 months, let alone 3 years. But it didn't take long after starting, and then um, I think not the first episode, but the second episode we did, we discussed Amanda and I discussed Stand by Me, and
Nice.
the fact that I had no idea I had no idea what I was doing at the time, so she recorded the episode for me. And funny story, she happened to stretch her leg out, and her foot unplugged her laptop. And because we were still very new at what we were doing, this our episodes were running like 2.5, 3 hours at that point.
Oh,
So we are definitely a lot better about that now because I like to try and keep it 45 minutes to an hour. That way, I feel like once you start hitting that hour point, you're running the risk of potentially losing your audience. And if I'm putting in the time to record the episode, I really don't want to lose the audience. But she unplugged her laptop and her battery died like 15 minutes before the end of the episode, so we lost the whole episode,
Oh
and we
no.
had to go back and
no.
re-record it again. So and as anybody who's ever recorded anything knows, if you have to re-record something, it's never going to be as good as it was the first time around.
Yeah.
No.
So I feel like we would be better at it now than we were back then because we're a little bit more seasoned at it. But still, I mean, so much has happened over the last 3 years that I've met some amazing people. um, Lisa and Jen, you included. Um, you know, I'm part of the I did not. I mean, well, myself and Amanda both were a part of the I did not make these rankings podcast network. So, and we're always looking for people to come guest on our network show that we tape on Tuesday nights as well. So, um, if either of the two of you or anybody listening would like to be a part of any of those shows, I highly recommend it. And you can get a hold of me and we can get something set up as well. So, but like I was saying though, off of my tangent, the listeners, the listeners though are really the most important part of this whole thing because as we build our YouTube channel up, as we continue to grow our Spotify and Apple and Google presence, just knowing there's people out there actually listening to all of us go on our rants and tangents and all of that makes it seem like, people think we have a valuable opinion. So, um, other than that, would thank you both of you as well. And obviously, as I said a minute ago, because we're going to offer Bloodsport up to the rest of the world now, and Jen and Lisa are going to come back on, and we'll discuss that amazing classic movie. But
Yeah.
um, I completely enjoyed having you ladies on. This was a lot of fun. Uh, you guys are welcome to come back anytime you want. Um, the general rule of thumb for the show is if you guys have a movie that pops into your head that you would like to come on and talk about, just let me know and we'll put it on the schedule. I don't care. If it's something we've already talked about, we'll revisit it because obviously you guys weren't here the first time we talked about it. And you may or may not have different feelings and opinions on the subject that we didn't talk about the last time. So, but as with anybody, you guys, audience, whoever is always welcome to come back anytime. Like I said, just pick the movie, let me know, and we will get you on the schedule as quickly as we can. So,
Okay.
do you guys have anything about your show that you need to plug before we wrap up the show?
Sure. Well, we always want followers on our socials. So if you want to follow us on TikTok, it's what.I.had.heard.was, Instagram at what I had heard, Facebook at what I had heard was, Twitter, what I had heard W1, and then my personal socials for Lisa is WIHHW Lisa. And then we also have a website. It's wihhw.com. And that's where you can find our merch. And very soon we will have a Teespring account up and running with more merch to purchase.
You guys have merch?
Yeah.
Oh Lord, now I'm gonna end up going down a rabbit hole that, oh Lord, I love collecting merch from all of my various guests that have been on the show. Even having several different um, published authors on, I've gotten each of their books, and I've gone through the book before the shows have started and all of that. So I have absolutely zero problem supporting any of my guests that come on the show. So, uh, Jen, was there anything else that you wanted to add as well?
No, she's got it. She nailed it.
Well, we're going to be doing a giveaway, so watch for that.
Oh,
So
yeah.
we haven't come up with our contest yet, but when we do, and you can enter it, and then you can get merch that way. And there's going to be some good stuff.
I like giveaways as well. We've actually
Mhm.
done a few giveaways on the show, not for a while, but I feel like especially now with the fact that we're getting our feet underneath us and our audience has gotten a lot bigger than what it was in the beginning, now could be a good time to attempt to do that again. So, um, definitely you have inspired me with that aspect. So, coming up on an evening at the movies, I, we're, by the time this drops, this will probably be a part of our movies that you should see once in your lifetime series. So, I'm not sure what we've got coming up after this because we're still building the schedule for that. But I can promise you we're going to have entertaining guests. We're going to have lots of fun, and we're going to talk about some movies that everybody should see once in their lifetime. Um, if you're new to the show and would like to, venture back a little bit in time and check out some of the other stuff that um, we've done some Hitchcock recently on the show. Also, Amanda and DeAndre and Harvey and I will be looking at some black cinema in the month of February as well, talking about some Spike Lee movies. And we got to figure out a couple more for rounding out February as well, but we've got that as well. So, and there's, like I said, over 200 plus episodes in the past on everything from horror movies to comedies to cult classics to whatever. So feel free to delve back into our library and enjoy because each and every episode was a blast to record, whether or not we like the movie or not. And there are a couple out there that I personally gave a shit rating to, not naming any names. Rubber. Um, but yeah, for everybody that's been here for a while, I have zero love for the fact that Kevin, one of our original listeners, recommended we review the movie Rubber on the show, and it was not a good movie. But like I said earlier, you make a recommendation, we will put it on the schedule. We will do it. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer to get it on the schedule, but it will get on the schedule. So, as always, though, thank you to the listeners. Thank you, Lisa and Jen, for being here. This was a lot of fun, and I look forward to hopefully many, many more. Can many I can't talk. Many more collaborations between all of us. So, and then as always, we hope you guys all come back for an evening at the movies. Have a good week, guys. We'll see you next week.